Hey guys, what's up? This is George, and in this video I'm going to teach you how to avoid getting scammed buying and selling electronics. More specifically, iPhones, Samsungs, Apple products, because that's where most of the money is. So the first type of scam that you're going to find when you're looking for products is if you're using Marketplace or OfferUp or whatever. There's just so many scams out there, and it's really easy to tell them apart. Like people who are selling like iPhone 14 for $100, perfect condition, brand new. It's fake. It also has like some weird letters there. It says MHV3B3. That's fake. Like it's like computer generated wording. So these are just scammers who will do massive posts of phones for very cheap, and they just want you to send money to them. Do not send money to anyone on Marketplace or anywhere you're trying to, purchase something. Always have them meet you so you can inspect the device, make sure it's the real deal, and get your money's worth. But if you come across these posts, just make sure, you take a look at their profile. They're selling a bunch of stuff like for cheap, like all this that you see right here in this profile, like a laptop for $100, an Apple laptop, like that's fake. Go into their profile and just have one picture right there, which looks, pretty fake. So yeah, just be careful with these type of posts, because there's people who do this all day long. They just want to scam you. They want to take your money. So that's the first type of scam you should stay away from. And the best way is to not send money up front. Second, this is very common where you're buying and selling iPhones and Androids. A lot of people want to sell you fake items. They want to sell you fake AirPods, fake Samsung, fake iPhone. It's just all over the place. So you got to be very careful when you're trying to buy these devices, because you can spend a lot of money, and then when you try to sell these devices, they're not worth what you paid. And the way you can tell easily that they're fake is by scanning the serial number, the IMEI. If you go to sigw.com, you can put the device serial number right there on the scanner and choose what item it is. And once it gives you the report, it will tell you if it's Chinese, or it will have Chinese letters on it. And that's how you know it's fake. Here in this video, you're gonna see how people try to scam me doing this. So you gotta be very careful, because these phones aren't worth more than $50 and they want you to pay $500 for them. So yeah, you can also tell by just holding the phone. Like if you look at the screen and all that, you can tell that it's fake. It could be a little bit harder on Samsung because they use an Android operating system. And also it's a great idea to try to get that serial number before you even try to meet the seller, because then you're gonna drive all the way to the seller. Then you gotta see the device and it's fake, and you already spent all this time and money to go see this device that is not original. So if you can convince the seller to give you the serial number or IMEI before you drive, you can avoid wasting all this time. I also encourage you to stay away from AirPods. It's very easy to get, scammed by those, unless you're really, really good at telling what, they are. Another thing people try to do is sell you phones that are blocked or they're locked. So the same thing, you want to check the IMEI. You want to make sure that they are not locked to any carrier, or they don't have any password or anything like that. Although this is a good opportunity, because you could make some money if they're locked. Because once the seller knows that his phone is locked, they have to lower the value, because they're not going to be able to sell it. And you can use this to your advantage to reduce the price, and then you resell it for parts, or sell it as a locked device, which people still buy, but they do not buy at the highest price that an unlocked device would sell for. And last but not least, try to have people send you images, because sometimes it is not as described. And once you're there in person to buy the device, it's gonna be very awkward to tell the guy that it's not what you thought it was, and that you can't pay what they're asking for. But like I said, you can use this to your advantage in order to lower the value and still get a good deal. So here's some examples of how to deal with all these situations. So this guy is selling me a MacBook M2 and some Beats headphones. He wanted 580 bucks, but I didn't buy. The reason I didn't buy it is because the guy was acting kind of suspicious. He was trying to talk and make a lot of conversation, so I wouldn't really check a lot the devices. Once I started seeing them, I noticed right away that the Beats headphones were fake. Once I touched them, the material just felt weak. It just felt like they could break easily. And also, once I put them on so I could test out the audio, it sounded kind of weird and the volume was very low. So that's how I knew they were not original. And the box also looked kind of weird. So I decided to pass on the headphones and I just moved on to almost buying the computer. But just before I paid him, I decided to look at the serial number. MacBooks have the serial number in the back. So I scanned the serial number and it said it was an M1. But that was weird because once I checked through the menu inside the computer, it said it was an M2. And I asked him if it had any repairs done. He said that he only changed the screen. But that didn't make sense because the back was not the original back neither. That's when I figured out that this computer probably has a lot of repairs. So I'm not going to pay that much for it. I probably would have bought it if he would have offered it to me for a very low price. But at the price he was asking for, there was no way I was going to make a profit. Especially since it has other repairs. It could have other problems already. So I decided not to buy this. I just bought an iPhone 13 and 14 for only $310. Once the seller arrived, I checked the phones and the 13 was cracked from the back, which the seller did mention before I came, but he did not mention that the front was also cracked. This was a big problem because that will diminish the value a lot. The 14 was in perfect condition and they were both unlocked. So initially we agreed on $350, but I told him to negotiate with me because the 13 was cracked from the front. So I told him if he would take $300 for them, but he denied. He then offered them to me for $320, but then we agreed on $310. And at the end, I sold both phones, the 13 for $150 and the 14 for $250. So I sold them for $400 together, which only profited me $90. Make me a better deal, man, because I didn't see the crack on the front. Like the back is fixable, but this is like we gotta change the screen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I could probably, like, for the pair, I could probably do like 340.
I'll do 300 for both, man. If you want to sell them quick, because the other one's very beat up. So
could you do 320?
No, it's 300 because it's too beat up. Like if the screen was good, I wouldn't mind. But
what about for just the 14?
I can't do 300 for that.
No, how much for the
200?
200? Yeah, I may just wait. I mean, I've got a lot of people reaching out about them, so I might just wait and see what like a little bit more of it.
Oh, 310? 310, man. We do it right now.
All right, yeah, I'll do 310.
All right. I almost lost $500 in this scam. So this guy wants to sell me an S25 Ultra for $500. The only problem is that it's fake. This is not the real Samsung S25 Ultra. It looks very similar. So you must be very careful when you buy Samsung devices because they have the same Android operating system as Samsung. The best way you can tell when they're fake is just by scanning the IMEI because sometimes they're very similar. So physically you won't be able to tell. But with the IMEI, once you scan it, you can immediately tell if it's fake or not because the SICW.com website will say it's Chinese or it will have Chinese letters on the model, which indicates that it's not the real deal. So be very careful whenever you're buying these Samsung devices. It's easier to tell with iPhones because the operating system will also look weird, and also once you scan it, it will say it's Chinese. So be careful out there. So there you go. You can still make money even if when you get there, it's not what they said it was, because you can use this to lower the value. And once you know how much you can sell it for, you can buy it and sell it for a profit. And if you want to know how to sell all this stuff for a higher profit, down here in my training, I'm going to teach you how to do it. Because you can make money on items that are not as described or even blocked and locked devices. Just be careful with the fake stuff because you can't really make any profit on that. So that said, the best thing to do is have people send you pictures or the serial number, and that way you can kind of get an idea of what you're gonna get. So I hope you really enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned that you can still make money in spite of all the odds. Thank you. I will see you soon.